Hari Om, good evening. I'm Reena Rajpal, a coordinator of the study groups Ghar Ghar Mein Satsang project and Geeta chanting competition, and a student and Sevika of Chinmaya Sagar zone. On behalf of Chinmaya Mission Mumbai, I'd like to welcome you all to day 5 of the ongoing Geeta Relay Yagna, an offering by the Sevikas of Chinmaya Mission South Mumbai. Before we begin, I'd like to request everyone to kindly ensure that your videos are switched off and mics are muted throughout the session for better reception. Thank you for your cooperation. In yesterday's session, Sevika Anjali ji took us on an insightful ride through Karmasannyas Yoga, chapter 4 of the Bhagavad-Gita, echoing Krishna's call to arise and awaken to our own divine nature. Today, to take us further on the journey, we have with us yet another stalwart from the Sevika team, Srimati Sheelaji Chitnis, who will unravel for us the subtle teachings of chapter 5, Karmasannyas Yoga of the Holy Scripture. Hari Om, Sheelaji, salutations and a very warm welcome to you. Request you to please begin with the invocation.
Hari Om. Sahana Vavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Vasudeva Sutam Devam Kausachanuramardanam Devaki Paramanandam Krishnam Vande Jagadguru. Samasta Janakalyane Niratam Karunamayam Namami Chinmayam Devam Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram Sadgurum Brahmavidvaram.
Thank you, Sheelaji. Before I pass the relay baton on to Sheelaji, a few words about our speaker for the day. Sheelaji's association with the mission started way back in 1967 when, as a volunteer, she had the good fortune to serve and learn under Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayananji himself. Deeply inspired, she then went on to serve as Joint Secretary, Chinmaya Mission Mumbai, and later as editor of Chinmaya Sandesh, our monthly magazine, for 7 years. Sheelaji has also been a proofreader and editor of many Chinmaya Mission publications and continues to serve in this capacity. A Sevika for 7 years now, she currently conducts 4 study classes in Mumbai, in addition to serving other projects of the mission with unswerving dedication and devotion. Honored to have you on board, Sheelaji. And now, it's Sufi time. Request everyone to please put on your videos for a moment and give us your best smile. Hari Om! Thank you so much. Over to you, Sheelaji. All the best.
Hari Om. Thank you, Reena, for a nice introduction. Now let us enter into chapter 5. Anjali ji covered chapter 4 yesterday. A little bit of background about chapter 5. Bhagavad-Gita, as you all know, was told by Bhagavan Shri Krishna to Arjuna on the battlefield, where Kauravas and Pandavas stood facing each other, ready to face a great war, fight a great war. It was almost like a world war, where tremendous destruction was inevitable. On seeing his kith and kin, especially Bhishma and Drona, the most revered ones, the futility of the war struck Arjuna in a big way. As a reaction, he wanted to leave the battlefield, take sannyas, and go in a forest and meditate. Krishna, surprised by his reaction, told Bhagavad-Gita with the sole purpose of removing Arjuna's delusion. Arjuna had clearly misunderstood the meaning of sannyas. He had thought wearing orange clothes, going to a forest, and meditating is sannyas. In the 3rd and 4th chapter, as you know, Krishna clearly said that giving up the karmas is not sannyas. He insists that nobody can give up karma. Without karma, our day-to-day life is also not possible. On the contrary, Krishna advised Arjuna karma yoga or yoga of dedicated action. Arjun was an action-oriented person. For a highly action-oriented person, it is not possible to give up action and meditate. The development of a person is in stages. First, self-centered or selfish activities, and then selfless, dedicated activities, offering all the karmas or all the actions to the Lord. This is Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga, when followed over a long period of time, reduces our vasana pressure. That means our rajas or rajoguna is reduced, the agitations in our mind are reduced, and this brings a lot of quietude to the mind, making it a fit instrument for contemplation. Meditation is described in chapter 6. So chapter 5 is a bridge between chapter 4 and chapter 6. In fact, it's an extension of chapter 4. So some repetitions would be there from chapter 4, but repetitions are always good in this kind of a subject. So as you know, the name of the chapter is Yoga of Renunciation of Action or Karma-sannyas Yoga. So this chapter deals with what is the correct meaning of karma-sannyas. What exactly does it mean? What does it mean to renounce the action? How it is to be done? And what is the result of practicing it? And what is the result or what is the vision of the person who has gone or who has renounced the karmas? So this chapter 5 starts with Arjuna's question. Tell me conclusively, what is better? Similar question he also asked in chapter 3. But Arjun is still confused about what he should be doing. Because on one hand, Krishna is again and again talking about the greater state of renunciation of action or Jnanamarg, and yet in the same breath, he is extolling the path of karma or path of action. So Arjun, being an army man, wants clear order. He wants clear answer from Krishna as to what is good or what is Shreyas, what is of the ultimate benefit for Arjun. So Krishna starts talking. He realizes that Arjuna's decision of going to forest is not his inner transformation, but it's a reaction to the situation of facing the war and of the destruction. Arjun is a Kshatriya king, meaning he has tendencies to fight, tendencies or vasanas to fight, to rule, to protect his people. So, unless his Kshatriya tendencies are considerably reduced, taking up fully the path of meditation will not yield result. Krishna is clear that Arjun still doesn't have vairagya. He still doesn't have dispassion. He's full of vasanas. Therefore, for Arjun, in order to exhaust his vasanas or tendencies, he advises him the path of karma. So, in terms or with reference to Arjuna's state, Krishna says that the path of karma is superior than the path of renunciation of action. Krishna further adds that path of karma and jnana are not two separate paths. In fact, the path of karma itself leads to the path of Sankhya. Gurudev in his talks gives a very beautiful example. He says that road number 101 after a couple of 100 miles is called road number 45. Similarly, karma yoga after years of practice is itself leads to jnana yoga. And both the paths, karma and jnana, lead to the same goal of self-realization. Let us understand some basics. There are two planes, actually three planes, but let us consider two planes. There are two planes of existence or reality. One is a plane of absolute reality or paramarthic reality, the plane of saints or sages who have realized the self. Second plane is a plane of relative reality or transactional reality, the plane where you and me, all of us, we live. That is in the realm of objects, emotions, thoughts, in the world of plurality. We identify ourselves with our body and say, I'm fat, I'm thin, I'm a professor, I'm a doctor, I'm sad, I'm happy. So all these descriptions of I are with reference to our body or our mind. They are not absolute descriptions of I. And because of this identification or relationship with body and mind, we limit ourselves. We feel restless. We feel incomplete and have desire to feel complete. But the problem is we look for happiness outside and we get tossed on the waves of joys and sorrow. So the whole spirituality is about the search for real I, who I am. So just as the dreamer becomes the waker, he changes his plane of existence. The people who have realized the real I are the sages who have transcended the plane of transactional reality and are established in absolute reality. They are called Mukhya Sannyasis or Nitya Sannyasis, as Krishna calls them. So, depending on in which planning, on which in which plane of existence we are, defines whether we are Mukhya Sannyasis or Gauda Sannyasis or ordinary people. The sages who have realized their real nature are Mukhya Sannyasis or Vidvat Sannyasis, and the seekers who have committed themselves 100% to this path are Gaun Sannyasis. So, this whole chapter deals with Mukhya Sannyasi. There are 29 verses. Out of these 29 verses, first 4-5 verses are introduction, last 3 verses are introduction to the next chapter, and out of the remaining almost 22 verses, 17 verses are devoted to these sannyasis who have transcended the plane of relative reality. So, since Arjun has grossly misunderstood the word sannyas, Krishna explains who a sannyasi is in 2 words. He says, a person who has neither likes nor dislikes is a sannyasi. That is, who has gone beyond likes and dislikes. That is, he is not a slave of his likes and dislikes, indicating that he is complete in himself, he is desireless, and he is established in sannyas. Krishna gives importance to inner mental condition rather than external uniform. So basically, a person who is on this path has to first conquer his likes and dislikes, become desireless by transcending the mind. And the starting point is Karma Yoga. Because being desireless or practicing renunciation of doership is difficult, especially for unqualified people. So it is better to start with offering the karmas and its fruit to the Lord, the Karma Yoga. And now, where do we stand? We all have raga dvesha or likes and dislikes. We all have desires. We all have vasanas. The likes makes us run after the objects we like, and dvesha or dislike makes us run away from the objects we don't like. In short, they make us run for pleasure. In fact, they control our entire life. So then, how can we, in our stage, rise above likes and dislikes? So, first step is to be very clear of what we want. Be very clear about the goal and then commit 100% to the goal. We cannot have this also and that also. It has to be 100% commitment to the goal. From this 100% commitment, that is the stage of Gauda Sannyas, the stage of likes and dislikes, going beyond likes and dislikes is achieved. So, so you reach the Mukhya Sannyas. So that's the journey from an ordinary man to a seeker who has committed 100%, to a mukhya sannyasi. So, Bhagavan is advising Arjuna, but through Arjuna, to all of us to follow Karma Yoga. He has explained that we have to do our swadharma, or we have to do our ordained duties. Now, what is Karma Yoga? In short, as you all know, yoga is to join. And to join with whom? To join with the Lord. So any action we do which connects us, or with an attitude to connect ourselves to the Lord, the same action becomes a yoga, and that is Karma Yoga. So whether the ladies in the COVID times are sweeping the floors, or they are cooking, or taking care of the bedridden and elderly, whatever it is, we have to offer the karmas to the Lord as well as offer the fruit of action. And whatever we get, we have to accept it as prasad cheerfully. Thus, the steps are from selfish activities to dedicated activities or karma yoga, leading to purification or antakaran shuddhi. That means reduction of rajoguna, leading to quietude. This will help you to meditate better and ultimately realize the self. In fact, Krishna promises that one who is well established in the path of Karma Yoga soon attains the self. Krishna gives prescription for both, for Bhakta as well as a Karma Yogi. As long as the mind is there, it needs to attach itself to something. It is difficult to remain detached. Now, our problem is that we are attached to our family, we are attached to our house, our children, and that doesn't give us necessarily happiness, because the happiness which we derive is temporary. All these things are changing. Therefore, often the attachments create disappointments. Therefore, what we need is we need to attach ourselves to the Lord who is unchanging, who is firm. Now, the question is how to offer our karmas to the Lord who is unknown. We've never seen him. And still the scriptures say, offer your karmas to the Lord. How? This is where the element of Shraddha or faith comes in. Vivek Chudamani defines Shraddha as Guru Vedanta Vakyeshu Satya Buddhi Avadharana. That is, whatever the Guru says or whatever the scriptures say, it has to be right. So, we have to develop our first step is, in order to develop the devotion in us, we have to develop a relationship with Lord. Whether the relationship is as mother and child, father and child, brother and sister, or maybe a best friend, whatever is the relation. But the relation first has to be established. Then, to further the relationship, think of his beautiful form, his virtues, his biography. Slowly, you will start developing love for the Lord. And then doing pleasure, then doing karmas for his pleasure becomes natural. It is like a mother taking care of an infant. baby. She does all kinds of dirty jobs, but out of love. And she has no expectation. At that time, she is not thinking after 20 years, this baby is going to take care of me. The job which she is doing is entirely out of love without any expectation. And then doing this kind of job for the baby, she gets the satisfaction of doing her duty or doing her swadharma. So similarly, the sadhak, by offering the karmas to the Lord, gets the fruit of action by doing his duties. And his load of vasanas or impressions are reduced, rajas is reduced, agitations are reduced, making his mind a fit instrument. Thus, Karma Yoga results in Antakaran Shuddhi. In short, develop bhakti. Remember him as often as you can. In fact, there was a speech I heard, there was a lecture I heard in which, in fact, even in the third chapter, Bhagavan has clearly said that there are only two nishthas, karma and jnana. He hasn't brought in bhakti, but bhakti, if you translate it as love, you cannot offer karmas to the Lord unless there is a love element or unless there is bhakti element. So bhakti that way is an integral part of karma yoga. So we have to change our identity from I am Sheela to I am Bhakta or I am a Sevak of the Lord. And we have to act in the world as a representative of the Lord. We have to do every action for the Lord, just as an employer does in an office while he is working from 9 to 5. When you become his sevak and start doing his seva, the renunciation of action will slowly happen. When bhakti matures, we start realizing that the Lord alone is karta. He alone is the doer. And we are a mere flute in his hands. In time, our ego, our sense of agency completely drops. This is Bhakti Marga, or as I said, this is Karma Yoga, in which Bhakti is an integral part. This is the practice of for a gown sannyasi when he is worshipping a Lord with a form, Saguna Sakar. Now, this Saguna Sakar can be the entire world. Ramana Maharshi says, Jagati Ishadhi Isha Sevana. So the entire world can be the form of the Lord. In the ritualistic portion of Vedas, Brahman is Apara Brahman, or Brahman is with name and form, Sagun Ishwar. The Saguna Ishwar is the creator of the world. He is the sustainer. He is the governor of the world. And he is also a karma phaladata. But this is not the right description of how Brahman is. This description is with his relationship with the universe. And because we are identified with the body, we need Ishwar with name and form. And we consider the world as real, we consider ourselves as real, and we need a sustainer, we need a protector, we need the giver of fruit of action who is uh, who is a good judge. So Krishna tells us one more technique of for a karma yogi. He says, observe yourself while doing karmas from within yourself. That is, the sadhak has to be a distant but interested observer. He has to witness all the actions that are happening around him. and within him. By this, a distance is created between you, who is the observer, and the actions. Slowly, it becomes clear for the sadhak that all the actions belong to 10 indriyas, to mind and intellect, and not to him who is the witness of the actions. The consciousness that illumines the very observer is the self, the truth. The Karma Yogi practices this technique for purification. Slowly, he develops I am not the doer attitude, thereby purgating his vasanas and impurities. And what is the result? The result, such a yogi enjoys indescribable peace. He has to an extent managed to get out of the clutches of the likes and dislikes or desires. To the extent his mind and intellect are integrated, to that extent he enjoys peace. Because since he has surrendered himself to the Lord, he is carefree, he is tension free. This surrender is such a wonderful thing. You know, there is a very nice example which I read, which I would like to share. One of the saints has written this. He says, Ganges water are rising. The mother and the baby are in a boat, but the Ganges water are rising. But the baby is sleeping peacefully in the mother's lap, totally unconcerned, totally peaceful. Whether so that is what is surrender, and that is what is getting the peace. So surrender is absolutely essential. So whether there is success or failure, the yogi is not affected. Now, what is the vision of this realized master? He sees divinity. Realized master means who has transcended the plane of reality, relative reality, or transactional reality. He sees divinity all around. He sees everything as his, God's, Lord's manifestation. There is vision of oneness. He has transcended the plane of transactional reality. He is no more identified with body, mind, or intellect. He has no doership left. Such a person, though acting, he is not acting. He is established in akarma or naishkarmya. Because his actions are not motivated by likes and dislikes, they do not leave any impressions on him or create any reaction, create any papa or punya, or create any karma bandha. He has crossed thus the cycle of birth and death. He is a sannyasi. Gurudev says, what a beautiful way to say. He says his actions are like signature on water. Nothing is left behind. So he remains ever a witness to all his bodily actions and actions of the mind and uh, intellect. He sees these actions are happening in the relative reality or transactional plane, and he is as though not connected. You know, if you remember Gurudev's BMI chart, there is Om at the top, and then there are Vasanas, and then it is BMI, PFT, OET. So he has crossed beyond the BMI, PFT, OET, crossed the barrier of Vasanas, and he has reached Om. So when he sees the actions, or when he himself is acting, he sees that actions are happening in the relative reality. He is as though not connected to them, just as the waker is not connected to the dreamer. Such a yogi is a sannyasi. He is nitya sannyasi. Such a yogi is established in Brahman, the self. That is our goal. Our goal as ordinary people, or a seeker's goal as a Gauni sannyasi, to become Mukhya sannyasi. And then this realized sage, lives like a lotus leaf. Lotus leaf is born in water, it is sustained by water, and it dies in water, yet it is untouched. Similarly, the realized master is unconcerned, unperturbed. He is immaculate, not touched by reactions, not touched by papa punya, not touched by karma. Even though he lives in the world, he is sustained by the world, he is completely detached. I think Krishna is almost trying to indicate to Arjuna that right now, Arjun, you are not qualified for this path. With such a peaceful antakaran, what does this yogi realize in the meditation? This yogi during meditation transcends the upadhis. He experiences Parabrahman, the Nirupadhik, Nirakar, Nirgun Brahman, which is the real nature. Saguna Brahman, as we saw earlier, is not the real nature. The Nirgun Nirakar Brahman is the real nature, Nitya Shuddha Mukta. The Parabrahman is neither the Karma Phaladata, is neither the sustainer, the creator, the destroyer. So to summarize, with reference to Nirupadhik, or viewed from absolute reality, Brahman doesn't create, nor is he the performer or the karma phaladata. And with reference to Sopadhik as Saguna Ishwar, with the Upadhi of Maya, he creates, he is the performer, and he is the karma phaladata. May I have clip number 100, please? We will see Gurudev's clip now. Clip number 100, please.
Ajnanena avadam jnanam. By your non-apprehension, ignorance, the true knowledge of the higher reality is covered. And when the non-apprehension has attacked the mind doesn't keep quiet but projects and sees all misapprehensions. When I am not seeing the post as the post, the mind projects that it may be a person standing. No, it is a young girl. So you start going nearer her. If you are all alone, you need not worry. You are going downtown, I am also going, I will take you. It is at that time you suddenly say, Ayaw! It is a ghost. The ghost and the girl and the man are all projections of your mind. The truth is a humble, simple lamppost. But the lamppost is not seen as a lamppost, and therefore the mind projects. This is the trick of the human mind. It's not your fault or my fault. It's a manufacturer's defect. This is how you have been created and sent here. Everyone has got a ajnanena avradam jnanam. By the non-apprehension, your true nature is covered. You are not able to understand it. Tena muhyanti jantavaha. Therefore, the ordinary individuals get confused and deluded. Confused and deluded, just as you are got frightened of the ghost. What you saw was only you projected. To all others it is only opposed. You see the ghost apart. Supposing at that time somebody puts a flashlight on it, the moment you see the post, the ghost has disappeared. In the non-apprehension of the higher state of consciousness, we project, our mind projects a world of plurality to be my perpetuity. And deluded by it, you play the part of an ego, the agency, and prompted by your own desires and anxious to enjoy them, you enter into the field of activity, sweat and toil, tension, stress and strain, and create a hell for yourself. Don't blame the Creator for it. He did not create anything. He is as He was ever. Even today He is that reality alone. He is right in you. Where is the waker away from the dreamer? Is not the waker himself who is now playing the part of the dream? Can the dreamer ever divorce himself from the waker? Has he got then an existence? Ajnanena ulam jnanam. The true knowledge of your true nature is at this moment is now hidden by your own ignorance. Change that ignorance. Bring the mind from its preoccupation with the misapprehensions. Quieten the mind. And when the mind is quiet, you start seeing glimmers of the reality. So long as you are excited because of the ghost or the serpent, you cannot see the post or the rope. Quieten. Have faith in your friend. Hold his hand. And again look. The moment you see 1 cubic millimeter of the rope, the entire snake has disappeared. Even if you see 1 cubic centimeter of the post, the entire ghost has disappeared. Even a glimmer of the waker, you see, the dreamer and the dream has rolled away.
So, as Gurudev explained, it's all the play of the mind. And deluded by this play of mind, we think that we are the doers of action. And prompted by our vasanas, we act in the world and create miseries for ourselves. So, this unveiling of truth is a process of removal of ignorance. We cannot create knowledge. So, just as when the clouds move away, the sun shines resplendently. So, actually, the clouds are in no position to cover the sun. Similarly, the ignorance cannot really cover the Atman. So, when the ignorance has ended, the knowledge becomes self-evident. Darkness, however thick it may be, is instantly removed when there is light, and not in degrees. But this knowledge, which is a raft, cannot be purchased by cheap gifts or by money or superficial seva. The sadhak has to really struggle to purify himself, struggle to live life divine. Just as with the end of the dreamer rediscovers himself to be the waker. With the end of the ignorance, the ego or the BMI identification also ends. The ego leaves the realm of ignorance and becomes the consciousness. So, such a person again will not be deluded by the transactional plane. He will never think that he is the BMI. He has de-identified, de-associated himself with body, mind, and intellect. So he doesn't feel incomplete. He doesn't need to go after the desires. Even if he acts, there is no doership. He has already relinquished his sense of agency. To such a sage, doership, enjoyership, karma, karma phaladata, everything belong to the transactional plane and is mithya. So having gone beyond the transactional plane, he recognizes the presence of the Lord everywhere. A wise man finds no distinction in varied forms and names, in varied gross bodies, the nature of the mind, the subtlety of intellect. He understands that all these differences are due to upadhis or conditionings. To a sage, a Brahmin or a cow or an elephant or a dog eater are all expressions of the same truth, just as our eyes and hands are though separate, they are part of me. So I love them equally. It is said that Anand Mahima, after 6 years of intense manifestation of sadhana and tapasya, had the all-encompassing vision of herself manifesting as the entire universe, and the self-imposed veil was removed once and for all. Ma then entered a 3-year period of complete silence and withdrawal into herself. There is an interesting story of Eknath Maharaj, a saint from Maharashtra, a realized saint, who is said to have run behind a donkey or a dog who ran away with a piece of chapati. And he ran behind the dog with a katori of ghee. And he said, wait, that roti is dry. Have some ghee with it. So such is the vision of equality. There is no difference. A sage, therefore, is a samadarshi, a person of equal vision, and works for the welfare of all. So one who has completely detached from the external world, who has become Brahman, he is himself bliss. That is his very nature. So like a lighthouse, the sage remains steady, unperturbed, undisturbed by the biggest uh, calamities in his life, in the midst of stormy waves of samsara, because he is indeed established in Brahman. He rediscovers the self. The Brahmika bliss envelopes him from all sides. The man of realization, who has relinquished his doership and attachment to fruit of action, enjoys supreme undisturbed peace, like a king in a palace. So he enjoys undisturbed peace in the city of 9 gates, ever watching over the activities of matter envelopments as a witness. On realizing the self, even though the sage continues to do karma, he reaches the state of akarma or naishkarmya, wherein the dropping of the sense of agency or sannyas is natural because he has disconnected himself from the transactional plane. Now, how has he achieved this? This sage, as a seeker or as a gaun sannyasi, has, by self-control, by constant efforts, reduced the impulses of senses or desires, and thereby he becomes slowly free from desires and anger. is controlled at body level. And since the desire is not disturbing him, his mind doesn't contradict with the decisions of the intellect. His mind and intellect are fully integrated. Madhava Swami, the attendant of Ramana Maharshi, asked Bhagwan if Bhagwan remained without food for 4 months in the underground cellar, it was months, I think 6 months, in the underground cellar without food. And Bhagwan replied, the food was forthcoming, some milk, some fruit, but who thought of food? What does this sage do? He sarva bhuta hite rataha. He is ever lovingly engaged in striving to take others beyond the realm of transactional reality. Bring out the self from not self. Can I have Gurudev's clip number 102, please?
Tadbuddhaya, constantly thinking about him. You must have heard 100 times from the teachers, don't do, that will not do. You have read many books, won't do. You have to again and again reflect upon it in your own buddhi, in your own intellect, until the intellect accepts the subtle logic and the arguments to understand that there is a greater reality behind the intellect that enlivens the intellect. Tad buddhaya, tad atmana, identifying yourself with that. At this moment I am identified with the BMI. Therefore I am a perceiver I, feeler I, thinker I. So long as you are identified the dream, you are a dreamer. When you identify the waker only, you can wake up. Tad buddhaya, tad atmanaha, tad nishtha. All your activities are ordered by reflecting in the glory of that oneself. If the self in me is a self everywhere, in all my contacts in the world outside, there is nothing but pure love. Isn't it? Once you have understood intellectually, your entire lifestyle changes, your relationships change. Why? There is nobody other than me. All these are different forms of me, myself. If I enter into a mirrored hall, will I not see thousands and thousands of bearded swamis looking at me? Are they not all me, myself? Will I get frightened about it? And when I smile, should they not all smile at me? As I go out of the room, my dog, Alsatian dog, comes in. That fellow, when he came in, he saw thousands of other dogs. In this house, where I am the sole dog of my master, where did they come? Isn't it? The dog barks. He sees thousands of dogs barking. He jumps at one mirror. He feels that thousands of dogs have jumped on him, jumping from mirror to mirror. The poor dog in sheer exhaustion. In half an hour, 45 minutes, it has to lie down and pant. It's at that time the master returns and he sees blood And then he sees his pet dog lying down. He exhausted. He didn't know what to do. So his private secretary comes and says, "Sir, this always happens when a dog enters a mirrored hall. You and I are like that dog. Look at the world and say that this rascal must be destroyed, he must be destroyed, he is my relation, he is my..." You think that the whole world is up against you and that you must continuously fight with the whole world. You don't know how to extend your hands and embrace the whole world. The knowledge that all these are nothing but my own self in different forms, it becomes a life of pure love. And thereafterwards, all your actions are nothing but a manifestation of your infinite love for the world. It's not that I want to get anything. To do good to you is itself its own goal for me because I love you.
So then, what about you? What about you and me? We are ayukta. We have desires. And we work day and night to fulfill the desires. We have the doership as well as we have the enjoyership. Our mind says one thing, our intellect says another thing. They are not integrated. We are ayukta. We are not even gaun sannyasis. Even while acting, we are anxious for the fruit. So we are never peaceful. Attracted by the objects that are temporary, we are pulled away every now and then from our goal. We have to control the impulse of desire, because of which we have become introverted, and because of which we are losing the sight of goal. We have to control our senses. And now, why to control the senses? To maintain the urgency of the goal, because we will not be able to strive on the path sincerely and think of the Lord. By shama and dhamma, or by sense control, the direction of the mind can be introverted for inquiry. Sense life and God life are opposite paths. So then, Krishna advises, at least try and control the impulse or the vega of the desire. If the vega or the impulse is controlled in the beginning, then it loses its strength. So, develop bhakti with efforts. We don't get anything in life without efforts. So, how would we get bhakti? And Gurudev, as you just heard, only reading is not enough. Reflect again and again. So, the intellect accepts that there is a greater reality than the reality we are living in. And then instead of identifying with our body, mind, and intellect, we should identify with Lord, identify with the waker and not with the dreamer, and center all your activities in Him. Means let He be the center of your activities. Everything you do it for Him. So if He is present in everything and being, there will be such a change in our life. If there is a vision of oneness, how can there be anything else but love? Actually, here at Shloka 26, chapter 5 ends. The name of chapter is Karmasannyas Yoga, or renunciation of action. Yoga of renunciation of action. So it is not running away from action. The life, running away from action, the life, or the responsibilities. It is renunciation of the agency of action or doership. Karma itself becomes a karma. Those who have done this are real sannyasis. This chapter, as I said, has 29 shlokas. So the next three shlokas are introduction to chapter 6, verse 27, 28, 29. So the next two verses, 27 and 28, are rough notes to be enlarged upon in chapter 6. A man of perfection is like a beacon light for a sadhak who is intent on walking the path. How the meditation is to be done will be covered tomorrow and not today. But what does this yogi meditate upon? The verse 29 says, he meditates on me, the Lord, or the self, who is the karta, who is the doer of all actions, and who is also the enjoyer of yagna and tapas. The Lord, who is the Lord governing and controlling over various fields. This yogi meditates upon the Lord, who is a friend of all creatures, who is Surut. At his altar, the yogi surrenders all his spiritual activity. The yogi means the ego of the sadhak, surrenders all his spiritual activity. And then, knowing the self, the seeker attains peace. So now I will take 2 more minutes to summarize the entire chapter with some PowerPoint slides. So may I request the PowerPoint slides, please? I will read them. So the name is karmasannyas yoga, meaning not giving up karma, but giving up the doership. Arjuna was advised to start with karma. So the starting point for people like you and me with load of vasanas is karma yoga. Karma yoga leads to chitta shuddhi, integration of mind and intellect, and then to Jnanamarg or meditation. Thus both karma and jnana lead us to our destination, to the same destination. Yeah, next slide, please. To see the Lord in everything or see all as his manifestation is realization. The ignorance of the self makes it appear as the world of plurality. The unveiling of truth is removing ignorance and not creating knowledge. The sage sees everything as his manifestation. Such a person, though acting, is not acting. So there are no reactions as there is no doership or no ego. Next one, please. He is a witness. He has transcended the realm of Maya, the relative reality, and is established in Brahman, the absolute reality. To him, no difference between cow and a dog eater or gold and mud. Gurudev says, reading is not enough, but reflection is important. Saguna Upasana, worship of Brahman with name and form. Develop bhakti. Change your identity from I am Sheela to I am Bhakta or I am Sevak. Do everything as his representative, thus offering all actions and fruit thereof to the Lord. Or do Nirguna Upasana, which is Jnanamarg, to de-identify ourselves from all conditionings or upadhis, which is very difficult. So to end, next one please. So to end, have a goal. Don't lose sight of the goal. Remind yourself of the goal again and again. Control your senses and their vega. Develop bhakti with efforts. All your activities, whether spiritual or material, should be centered in Him. Om Tat Sat. Hari Om. Thank you very much for listening to this lecture. If you have any questions, please ask. And if I can answer them, I will answer them. Yes, Manisha.
हरिओम मैम ये I have done it as a student also, that I always wanted to have a fearless relationship with God. So कैसे बचपन में and in our times it was like कि ये नहीं करेंगे तो मतलब दिया करना है या जो भी rituals हैं. Now we have a liberated view of that. But sometimes I feel कि yes, so I always felt कि I can be free with God. So जब मैं बहुत परेशान होती तो मैं थोड़े दिन के लिए उपवास बंद कर दिया because of different reasons. Then I would start again. I would not feel कि नहीं मेरी भक्ति में कमी आ रही है या God is judging me and cutting my marks, so to speak. You know,
Yes.
sometimes we feel that way. But would you like to give me some advice कि कभी-कभी वो हमारी लेजीनेस है या वो हमारी जेन्युइन प्रॉब्लम है, जैसे कि वी हैव गुरुदेव सेज कि हैव अ रिलेशनशिप विद गॉड. सो आई ऑलवेज ट्रीट गॉड एज माय पेरेंट्स टू हुम आई कैन to him I can go and say कि I'm feeling very weak today, God, I can't do upvas, something like that. So is there any more aspect to it that I should keep in mind, where it is not my laziness which is asking, seeking, but I still maintain my discipline, but I don't become lazy or complacent?
Yes. So, Nimisha, right?
Manisha.
Manisha. Manisha, yes, it's a very good thing that you have relationship with God and you consider God as your father. So a father always forgets. A father always forgives, even if you don't do anything.
Right.
And don't do something, because you're tired maybe, or maybe you're lazy. These are all moods of the mind which we keep on getting, and our moods change during the day. So from sattva to rajas to tamas, these moods change. So it's
जी.
possible that sometimes you are lazy and you just don't want to do anything, or maybe you're so disturbed that man hi nahi lagta.
जी.
So it can happen, huh? But the Lord is as of as our father. He has been, just as our father forgives us. Similarly, the Lord who stays in our heart is all forgiving, and he is a surut. He's called a surut. Surut means the dearest one who looks after your welfare all the time.
Right.
Now, what is our responsibility? If you feel that you are not doing it out of your laziness, and if you observe yourself carefully and understand that it is your laziness, it is up to you to whip yourself up.
Okay.
The point is that when we are on the sadhana marg, the point is how steadfast we are on this path. So, and I just said that you have to be centered in Him, and all the activities should be centered in Him. So, I don't know what is your age, but
So I
from your
have children. Yes. So I have children 10 and 14. So I
yes,
try to find that balance, that
yes,
just because I have to do sadhana, I have to do my sangeet practice, but then I leave it. If my children need me, they want to come and sit with me, they want to talk to me, they want to be around me, mostly in this lockdown period, then those days I lose that discipline, because I feel as a mother, my dharma is to be available to them, to have that flexibility, to make them feel that they can come to me any moment of the day.
Yes.
For any reason, for anything.
Yes.
So I was just confirming
Yeah,
my action.
Manisha, as I was saying, that what is Karma Yoga? Yoga is to join.
Yeah.
So any action with an attitude to connect yourself with the Lord is Karma Yoga. So even if you are doing your duties of maybe cooking or serving or taking care of their studies, whatever, as a mother, if it is done with the attitude of Karma Yoga, that is surrendered to Him, you get my point, right? To connect to Him, then that whole
Yes.
whole karma itself becomes worship. You don't have to take out separate time. If you are able to maintain this attitude throughout, then it doesn't matter what you do.
Right.
Have I
Thank
answered?
you. Yes, miss. Thank you. Hari Om.
Yes, Arvind. Hari Om, Arvind.
Hari Om.
Yes.
Actually, I wanted to know one thing. That is, in one of the commentaries I had read that we have to act according to our vasanas, which says that as Arjun was action oriented, he was initiated into the path of action by Lord Krishna. But if we are bhakti oriented or jnana oriented, then we have to go for it rather than merely going by the action. So how will we know actually that this is my vasana and I have to do like this? What is it that really makes when we have
I
to?
understand, and I'll try to answer as well as I can. One thing is karma and bhakti, don't separate them. As I said, that whatever action you do as worship of the Lord, then it becomes karma yoga. So do not separate karma and bhakti. You don't have to take out time separately. Now, as you said, we are all full of vasanas. So how do I know what is my vasana? We don't. We really don't. But I guess that in which, by doing that, what by which I feel fulfilled or I get the satisfaction, that is my vasana. Like, for example, people may find happy cooking, they get fulfillment in cooking, in feeding. So that is their vasana. Or for me, for example, in the last few years, reading, studying, I just enjoy it. I feel satisfied doing it. And then that is my vasana, isn't it? So, and then you should be able to sustain it over a long period of time. It is not that aaj meditation kiya or tomorrow again I'm back to something else. So this vasana which you have has to sustain over a long period of time, or the activity which you take up because of that vasana has to sustain and has to give you equal pleasure all the time. Then you know that that is your vasana. You know that there are many doctors who are serving, who are really, really serving in COVID times also. And even without COVID, there are people, doctors who go to the villages and selflessly serve. Like, Anandvan, where both the sons are doctors, their daughter-in-laws are doctors. And what kind of service they do? So, knowing the vasana and a doctor or being a doctor and serving was their vasana, and they have been able to sustain it over a long time. Have I become made little clear? Hari Om, Arvind?
Sorry,
Hari
he's
Om?
muted. He's muted.
Yeah.
So,
So we can take one more question.
yeah,
Thank
sorry,
you, thank
Arvind,
you,
you're unmuted now.
thank you, thank you.
Yeah. We can take a last question.
There are none as of now.
Oh, good. So over to you, Reena. The chapter was a little serious. I understand.
Thank you so much, Sheelaji, for such an in-depth yet simple overview of the chapter. It was a difficult chapter, no doubt, but you hit it like Arjuna pierced through the eye of the bird.
Thank you.
An important announcement right now. Tomorrow's session on Chapter 6, Atmasayam Yog by Shruti Ji will be at 5 p.m. to 6:15 p.m. Please note the change. This is only for tomorrow, 5 p.m. to 6:15 p.m., after which we will revert to the same time, 7 p.m. to 8:15 p.m. Thank you so much. Thank you once again, Sheelaji, for such a beautiful discourse.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, this was just indeed a true reflection of the thorough knowledge, clarity, and expertise of our study class Sevikas.
Thank you.
At this point, it gives me great pleasure to announce that currently we have 101 weekly study classes conducted across Mumbai by our well-trained Sevikas, with new ones ready to begin. So if any of you feel inspired to join such a study class, which many of you probably by now are, please do put up a message with your name and the required details on the Geeta Relay Telegram chat, and we will be happy to get back to you. However, if you've joined us from another city or even from overseas, we're happy to share that we have around 313 centers worldwide too. So you could contact the Chinmaya Mission Center in your city for more details. Meanwhile, do take a look at the video clip shared on the same Telegram chat for a glimpse into the world of our study classes. At this point, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the Yajman for today, Srimati Meenakshi Ji Kumar. Heartfelt gratitude for your continued support, Meenakshi Ji. For those of you who would also like to support our mission in its vision, you could do so using the PayU link, which will be flashed on your screen. The PayU link has also been put up on our Telegram chat. And last, but not the least, a big thank you to all you lovely people. Thank you for logging in. We look forward to welcoming you again tomorrow. Once more, please note, tomorrow the session will begin at 5 p.m. to 6:15 p.m. Shruti Ji is the speaker and she will expound on chapter 6 of the Bhagavad-Gita. Thank you. We will now have the Bhagavad-Gita Aarti.
Sheila Maliaji has raised the hand. So please advise.
Reena has to say.
Yes, Sheila Ji, if you are okay to take one more question.
Yes, I'm fine. So, yes,
Sheila
Sheila.
Maliaji, please ask. You can unmute and just ask. You will get a notification on your screen.
Yeah, sorry. Actually, it was done by mistake. Actually, I was sending a message, thank you message, and by that time, I just touched that hand. So today's chapter, actually, I am the new one to understand Bhagavad Gita, and today's chapter was a little bit difficult one to understand. But I think if I go through it again and again, I will be able to understand a little more.
Yes, it is a difficult
Sheelaji. Yeah,
it's not an easy chapter. You're right. It's not difficult.
Yeah, little bit. Yeah,
it's not easy.
Little bit serious chapter it was.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
it is.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, Sheila Ji.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
Now we can have the Bhagavad Gita Aarti.
जय भगवद् गीते मैया जय भगवद् गीते हरिया कमल विहारिणी सुंदर सुपुनीते ओम जय भगवद् गीते कर्म सुमर्म प्रकाशिनी कामासक्ति हरा विद्या ब्रह्म परा ओम जय भगवद् गीते निश्चल भक्ति विधायिनी निर्मल मलहारिणी शरण रहस्य प्रदायिनी सब विधि सुखकारी ओम जय हरियों की रानी ओम जय भगवद गीते दया सुधा बरसावनी मातु कृपा की जय हरि पद प्रेम दान कर अपनों कर ली जय ओम जय भगवद गीते ओम जय भगवद गीते मैया जय भगवद गीते हरिया कमल विहारिणी सुंदर सुपुनीते ओम जय भगवद गीते ओम जय भगवद गीते ओम जय भगवद गीते बोलिए गीता मैया की जय।
ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम. Thank you all. See you tomorrow.